Hey everybody, it's me, Kevin Wormhold here on The Exchange. We are live. We are live on our live stream. It is Monday, 7 p.m. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. And I want to thank my subscribers who are always with me. Thank you. We got a great episode coming up this week. But before we get to the episode, I need the people who have not subscribed yet to do that now. Subscribe, hit the bell so you get all notifications to the episode. What it does is it helps me continue to bring guests to you for free. Okay, all it is a little button push. It doesn't cost you anything. The more subscribers, the more likes, more comments, the more I can bring you free episodes of the podcast here on YouTube. Okay, YouTube is a tough grind, but as long as you guys keep supporting me here on YouTube, we keep bringing you these episodes on YouTube. If you're not into the video thing, there is an audio link in every episode to the audio version of the podcast. So consider clicking that, going to whichever platform you prefer to use, and subscribe there. And you can just listen to it on your way into work. Not a big deal. But if you're here tuning in, let's get to our episode coming up. We have a great episode this week, as usual. And thank you for joining me here on The Exchange. Welcome. Enjoy the show. Today with my buddy Bryan Karp, real estate giant here on Long Island. Buddy, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I'm super excited.
So you're a big deal here on Long Island. I talk to people all the time who just live on Long Island, and I mentioned that I sold my house, and I mentioned your name, and they say, is that the guy that is painted green on every real estate sign on the island in Suffolk County? I've seen his face. He's bald, right? I said, yep, that's my boy, Bryan. Everywhere you are. Tell me about how you just decided to get into this real estate market, which is a cutthroat market. It's very difficult to get into. Absolutely. You have to have a certain drive. How did you decide to get into real estate?
So when I first got into real estate, I said, okay, how am I going to build a brand? How am I going to do this? And I said, okay, I want to brand myself. I want to brand my face. And that's really, I'm not this person who is in love with myself, who thinks I'm this Adonis and amazing, handsome person. I just felt like the best way to get brand recognition, just like a Coca-Cola, a Pepsi, a Red Bull, was I had to build a brand around myself, because at the end of the day, everyone's hiring me. So I just kind of took my face and decided I was going to put it everywhere. I was going to do everything bigger and better than all of the competition and everyone else. And that's where we started off with just the signs with my face, but basically my face is 90% of the sign. And then when we took it from there, we wrapped my car. So I have a car that's wrapped with my face. I have a truck now, which basically is wrapped with my face. It's probably 6 feet high on the truck. Because at the end of the day, when people in my hoods were making a decision on who to hire or who to interview for real estate, I wanted my name to be up there. The person who gets the most attention is the person who wins the game. Now, they're not always going to be the best, and I am the best, but the people who get the most attention on a product or a business win the game.
And I think it has to go back to your playing football. You played college football. I see your jersey behind you. You played at 2 different colleges, and you had that competitive mindset, the competitive drive within you, and you have to have that to play college football. Is that what helped making real estate easier for you?
Well, my whole life football, as in that's me and you go way back from playing from the Pee Wee leagues, right, Kevin? We were doing Belmore, like Hawaii, young youth football. So yes, I did play football in college. I played football at Stony Brook University. It's actually my home and away jersey, just split. And absolutely, I really believe that I'm a success today because I played high-level athletics. And I think one of the reasons that I'm so successful in real estate is because of the drive and the competition. I love competition. I literally feed on competition. Today I'm very blessed, and I'm the #1 real estate agent in Suffolk County by number of homes sold. I'm not playing for the money. I'm playing because if I play something, I have to win and I have to be #1.
So your competitive mindset kind of set you on this, I guess, trail to become who you are today within real estate.
Absolutely, but I had to find like what my passion and what my addiction was. And when I was a young man, it was always training for football, getting ready for the next season. When I was in high school, it was, football. When football was over, it was time for basketball. When basketball was over, it was time for lacrosse, and then start all over again. So then when I get to college, my full-time job besides education was to train for football. So the off season, you'd be eating and working out and running. And in the season, then you would play and then start all over again. So then when I graduated from Stony Brook, it was like a culture shock. I'm like, where do I put all my energy? Where do I put all of my focus? And I'm just lucky that I stumbled across real estate and found my addiction and my passion.
Did you know that is what you wanted to do leaving college, or did you try to enter the workforce and try to get involved with certain jobs and industry, and you said, you know what, this ain't for me, I need something more competitive? Was that, or did you initially come out of college say, I want to be a real estate agent?
No, no, absolutely not. 100%. And I even said to my mother, I'm like, why didn't you tell me that real estate existed? Like this is it. Like, I can't believe you guys didn't, because I remember having the conversation with my parents, and it was like, all right, what are you going to do for a living? So definitely not. And I was actually at the crossroads, because in high school, my father convinced me to go to a BOCES, and he convinced me to go to a trade school to learn electrical, because he said, listen, when you graduate from high school, college isn't for everybody. So why don't you learn a trade, so at least you can go out there and feed your family? So I listened to him, and it just happened that I got offered a scholarship my senior year in high school. And it was kind of like having two different people on my shoulder, because my father was like, get out in the workforce, go out there, start making a name for yourself, start making money. My mother was like, listen, this is a great opportunity to go to college. And I was never really college material. As you know, I have a learning disability. So I'm dyslexic, and I still don't read on a level of where I should be. And my whole life, I struggled with school. Kevin, I was literally the kid in school where I would be sitting in math class, and I would look at the clock, and I'm like, oh my God, only 15 minutes went off the clock.
I know that feeling, bro.
And Kevin, today, I will literally have been up since 3:50 in the morning, and I will go tonight until 9 o'clock, and the day's going to go like this. Right. I'm not even going to have a chance. Besides a little coffee, that will probably be my whole day, because it's one appointment from one conference call to one meeting. And I love it, because this is my addiction. And in school, literally the school felt like a year. Science class, I could see the clock. I'm actually gonna have my staff order me a school clock, because the hand never moved. It literally never moved. I even remember the face of the clock came off one day, and I think I took like a pen and I started moving it around just to try to get to the next class, to wait for the bell to move. And now today, because with real estate, I can't get enough time. I can't wake up early enough, and I can't go to bed late enough.
And I think that's an important thing to mention, is that, college ain't for everybody. It wasn't for me. I didn't go to college until after I left the Marine Corps and started working and had a family. So, and it's still, for me, I was never very good at school, and, college wasn't my thing. So I left and went to the Marine Corps and kind of found my way. And there's a lot of push for that college. You have to go to college. You have to do something. And I think that your example is, listen, if you're not good at school and it's not for you, you could actually still be successful in life. You don't have to be down on yourself. A lot of people get down on themselves and say, I don't know what I'm going to do. Am I going to have a $10 an hour job for the rest of my life? But you found a way to make an amazing career in real estate with your drive. And you took what your best qualities were and put it into real estate. And now you're very successful. So I guess I don't have to ask you why real estate or the hustle and grind, but you have to put in from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed every day. Otherwise, you don't get paid. It's a very cutthroat industry, a lot of competition. How do you stand out amongst all the other competitors as the best?
Yeah, it happened by accident. It kind of just, I started as a part-time job. My first year, it was 3 houses, friends and family. Then it was 10 houses. Then it was 20 houses. Then it was 50. And then have been in real estate about 12 years now. There was a long period of time I was doing about 50 to 80 homes a year, which is insane. And now today, in the last 3 years in a row, I've done over 140 transactions. This year, year to date, Kevin, we're sitting here December 4th or 5th, right? We're sitting here December 5th. Year to date, I've done 180 transactions, which is totally insane. I have a, and I'm going to butcher it, but you've probably heard of Roger Bannister.
Okay.
Okay. Roger Bannister was the first person to run the 4-minute mile. Before Roger Bannister ran the 4-minute mile, the scientists, doctors literally said that the human heart would burst out of the chest and the man would die. Once Roger did this and broke the 4-minute mile and did it in less than 4 minutes, weeks and months after that, many people started doing it. Why did they start doing it? Is because now in their heads, they realized it was possible.
Right.
It's been like that with my business, where people are like, oh, you can't sell 50 houses a year. And then, oh, you can't sell over 100 houses a year. You can't sell over 150 houses a year. And now I'm at 180 houses year to date. We still have a few more weeks left. It's totally insane. So I really hope that I'm now showing people that, listen, if you put your mind to it, no one else needs to believe what you're doing. As long as you're all in on it and you totally believe it, it could absolutely come true. I've literally created this real estate business in my head. I knew a decade ago that I was going to be the #1 real estate agent in Suffolk County. And I knew that I was going to build a large rental portfolio behind it. And a lot of people laughed at me. A lot of people thought it was never going to happen. And I'm literally proof today that if you put your mind to it and you set your goal, it could absolutely come true.
And I think that people have this idea in their head, and I'm guilty of this, and a lot of people, you probably deal with this a lot. There's a grand idea. I'm looking for a house. I want to buy this house. I want a fireplace, in-ground pool, basically what on Long Island is over $1 million. I can't afford $1 million home. How do you bring people back to that? Like, okay, so this guy's got this grand idea of what he wants in a house. I can't get that for him because he can't afford it or whatever the case may be, not available, but you still manage to make a sale. How do you bring them down to say, listen, I got this house fits you better. How do you break that to them? Because some people don't like hearing, like, what do you mean I can't have that house? I want a fireplace.
Right.
And that's always something that's hard for an agent to do, is like, kind of not hurt their feelings, but still make the sale go through. How do you deal with that?
I think it's really about educating the consumer, if it's a buyer or a seller, of realistic expectations. Listen, everybody has to sacrifice on something. Unless you have an unlimited budget, you're going to have to give something up. And that's what it is. But, I see too many people are just overextending themselves. And, what happened to back in the day with like living below your means? And you can't have everything. And something that I've been saying a lot now is stay broke. So listen, you're making $100,000 a year. Okay, that's great. You don't need to live on $120,000 a year. Let's live on $50,000 a year and save the rest of the money. So I'm never the person who is trying to sell them up or sell them to buy bigger and better. I'm like the most modest guy and really trying to keep people within line and say, you don't need that and you could live without that.
And I have to mention that Bryan here sold my house a couple of years ago in Eastern Long Island one day. The first guy that came into the house bought the house that day. And my house wasn't some grand, $1 million home. Or, it was just a normal Cape on Long Island one day. And, right there, I was like, damn, this guy's good, man. One day. First guy that came in the house bought the house.
And I appreciate you calling me and always thinking about me.
Yeah, man. I thank you for that, because my wife was so happy. She's like, wait a second, now? We got to sell now? I thought we'd had 6 months. I'm like, no, Brian's good.
Oh no, this is how we do it. There's no need to have 6 months or a year. I've literally have built this, Kevin. I've spent a decade building a machine, and it's my marketing machine. And basically, I ran around the first few years in real estate, and I kind of looked at anybody who was doing big business all across the United States. And I looked at what they were doing that was positive and negative. And I basically created what today is my marketing machine. And if I run a property through my marketing machine, generally within 30 to 60 days, we should have activity and we should have offers. You know, in any business, it's about systems and processes. I'm sure when you in the military and when you were in the police department, it's not like you're just walking into a situation without knowing the systems and processes. And that's what I've done in real estate. You know, the problem with real estate is the barrier for entry is so small. It's literally, I believe, a 90-hour course or 72-hour course. So unfortunately, we're getting a lot of people who don't treat this like a business and are not knowledgeable and professional. And I think that's why there's a lot of the success rate for people selling homes or buying homes is low when they're not represented properly. And I also see the success rate for real estate agents is not great because they're not educated and they're not taught the business and how to conduct themselves.
I'm actually glad that you brought that up. I wanted to mention some people could be weary of sales. You know, consumers like me personally, I hate going to a car dealership because guy's got to sell me the car and he's got to cut a deal. He's got to make a deal. You're walking into strangers' homes and you're selling them the idea that I'm going to sell your house. And I need you to trust me to sell your house. How do you break that ice and get them to trust you to say, listen, okay, I feel confident about this. Let's sign you up. You could sell my house. How do you break that ice?
I have the exact opposite feeling. I love sales.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to break down sales. But I guess the way that I do sales is the way I want sales done to me is I'm not the car salesman. I'm not the slimy salesman. I do call myself the sales giant because literally I am a salesman. And if you want to sell your house, you better hire a salesman or a saleswoman. But there's professional ones and there's unprofessional ones. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm an advisor, Kevin. When I came into your house and last night I was in someone else's house and tonight I'll be in a different person's house, I literally am like your attorney, your financial advisor, and your CPA. I need all of this information. I need every piece of information about what is going on with your house, where you're trying to go, your jobs, your finances, your long-term goal. So then I can come in and advise you. And that's really where it is I sell from an advisory platform where I don't have commission breath. I'm not even counting the checks. It doesn't even matter to me. I'm playing for a whole different level. So when I come in, it's okay, where are we trying to go? What's our budget? I want to make sure it's reasonable. So they're not, hey, Bryan, I can only spend 500, but I'm looking at a neighborhood that's $1 million plus. That would just be unrealistic and unreasonable. And then on top of that, okay, great. How much money do we have saved? Okay. What's our expectation? What are we going to get out of our house? And then it's my job to bring them either back to reality or say, listen, we can get you this number out of there. So, you know, from my meetings, they're almost consultations. And many times I'll say no to someone. I don't think you should sell. It doesn't make sense. You know, someone called me, they just bought a house 6 months ago. Bryan, we don't love the house. And can you sell it for us? Now, any salesperson would be like this, woo-hoo! I just sold it to them, another big sale, and then they're going to buy something else from me. But I talked them out of it. I was like, stay. I said, you could fix this. You could do this. In 20 years, are you going to be happy there? And they said, yeah, we love the neighborhood. We love this. So I think my sales, Kevin, always just comes from my heart. And I don't need their commission. It's not changing my life. So I'm here to advise you to make sure it's the right move for you.
Now, you walk into a home, and I love it the way you just explained it now. But there are times that you got to walk into a house and say, "Holy shit! How the hell am I going to sell this place? This like it looks like a grenade went off." Are you still able to sell it as is, or do you make recommendations? How do you get that house sold that's like almost unsellable? Because I'm sure you've done it before, where you've had homes that you've just been like, oof.
There's nothing that is unsellable.
Okay.
I've sold the worst of the worst. I've sold houses with black mold from floor to ceiling. I've sold houses that were hoarder houses. I sold houses where you couldn't even walk in the front door. It's just making sure that the price represents the work that needs to be done. There is nothing that is unsellable. Listen, this is a service announcement. Do not think that anything is unsellable. I see all the time people think that, oh my God, I have to give away my house to an investor, or I have to donate my house to a charity because it's not worth anything. It's absolutely worth something, regardless of the condition. It's just knowing the value and knowing who to market it to and how to get the most money out of it. So yes, of course I make recommendations, but then if I see that there's somebody who doesn't have the capacity, or they're they're handicapped and they can't get certain items done, I say, don't worry about it. I'll just sell around it and we'll bring the price down and figure it out.
In order to get this done the way you have with the high volume that you do, team has to be important. You have to have a solid team. How did you put together the team that you have now, and how important is that when you're doing real estate the way you do it?
Sure. So I actually don't have a team. I have full-time staff behind me, but the 180 transactions this year are all Bryan Karp. I'm behind every single one of them. I've negotiated every single one of those deals. I know in and out every detail with that. But I do have 3 full-time admin. I do have runners. So to me, I always play to my strengths, and I play to what I'm the best at. And then the stuff that I'm not the best at, I bring other people who are better than me. So me with a learning disability, paperwork and admin work is not my strong suit. So I bring people in who are the best admins, the best spellers, the best copywriters, and I bring them in to help build out the business.
And, you must drink an absurd amount of coffee to keep that machine running. Are you a big coffee guy?
I am a big coffee guy. But listen, this is just natural energy. I'm the guy who, when I was a young boy, I would have the Sunday night blues. And my son Brody even gets it. He's like, oh, Dad, I got a whole week of school. I don't love school. And I was that kid. And now Sunday nights, I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait to put my football helmet on, my shoulder pads, and play another game. Because that's literally what I'm doing. This is my new way to channel my energy, is into my business.
Your sales record has brought such, awareness to what you do. And it even brought you into the Long Island Pulse magazine as one of the power brokers of the year. Talk about what that experience was like. I mean, you look like a freaking model in that, in those photos, with your arms folded, looking all sharp and everything. How did they approach you, or?
It was really strange. I'm the 12-year overnight success. And I always stay humble to not read my newspaper articles and not read my success. But it was out of nowhere. They called me up and they said, listen, Bryan, we interviewed, they basically put it out on their website, and they had all of Long Island vote, and they had brokers, agents, and even home sellers and home buyers vote who the top brokers in Suffolk County was. And it was so humbling, and it was really flattering, and they chose me. So that was really a big piece to my business, because it really made me, it kind of came full circle. And then the year after that, Long Island Business News ranked me the #1 real estate agent in all of Suffolk County. And I was like, wait, how did this happen? And they're like, oh yeah, we just looked at your sales volume and the number of homes you sold. So it's like crazy when you get the phone call and you're like, hello? And like, oh yeah, Bryan, this is Long Island Business News, and you're the #1 agent in Suffolk County. And I'm like, out of everybody, because I'm just so, Kevin, you got to understand that I'm so involved in the business. I'm like the horse with the blinders on. I'm just, boom, selling the house, getting the house ready, negotiating the deal. Oh my God, I'm the firefighter, putting out the fire, fixing this, fixing that. And then they call me up and they're like, hey, you're the #1 guy. I'm like, that's great. That's awesome. Thank you. What can I do?
That must have been something. I mean, at least you know that your work is getting noticed. And not only that, it's free marketing. I mean, you market yourself very well. You have your face on your car. I mean, you drive around and people just see your face. I mean, do people like look at you, kind of give it like
that was a real bold move. I'm gonna say I did it about 4 or 5 years ago, probably about 5 years ago, and I was talking about it probably for 6 months or a year. And I spoke to Jessica, and she was like, I'm not going to tell you no, but she's like, we don't have any other cars. She's like, you're going to drive around all the time with your face on the car. And I just knew it, like deep inside. I can't, I'm a marketer. So deep inside, I kind of get these feelings of what to do. And I'm like, no, this is the move. this is the move. So I brought it to a guy who does wrapping, and he put my face on the side of the car. And I literally remember picking the car up, and I got in the car and I was like really happy with it. I'm driving. I'm like, everybody's looking at me. It's a little crazy. This is a little crazy, but it's made me probably the best driver ever, because now I stop at every stop sign and say STOP, and I wave on all of the pedestrians all the time. So it's been a big move for my business, but I think it almost puts a stamp to everyone to understand that, like, this guy's all in on this. Like, Kevin, there's no other vehicles in my driveway. So if I'm running to 7-Eleven at 5 a.m. or tonight to go pick up milk or something, or ice cream for the family, I'm in the sales mobile, or I'm in the sales truck. Like, I'm all in on this stuff. That's who I am. And I think that's where my sales comes from. Like, you're literally hiring someone who, this is his addiction. This is his passion. This is my world. Besides my family, like, this is everything. So to me, if I need to buy something, I want someone like me who's the most knowledgeable person, who knows every in and out and knows anything that could possibly happen in the transaction. So now I'm totally comfortable with it. And people all the time can pull up to me. They'll be taking video and pictures of it. And I'm just like this.
Yeah. And make sure you don't go through any of those red lights in Suffolk County, because it's a little hard to talk yourself out of a ticket when your face is on the car.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. But it's good marketing. It's good marketing.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? People know you. Like, they should not know you, but they know you because they've seen your face. Either that on your car or your Green Giant, sign that's on all the houses that you have up for sale. Let's talk a little bit about your real estate investment portfolio. You do, not only do you sell houses, you've created another business owning real estate and renting real estate.
Yep.
How did you determine, like, I'm going to maintain the property? This is going to be my cash cow for the rest of my life, because there's no city pension or state pension. This is your life. So when did you make that decision to say, I need something long-term that's going to provide for me and my family, and this is how I'm going to do it?
Mm-hmm. So I'm just writing a note down so I make sure I hit a point after I go off on a tangent, and stop me if I ever ramble on a tangent. But if you're hiring somebody to sell your house, to advise you on money, to sell you a car, to put solar on your house, and they don't own the product or own a lot of the product, they shouldn't be selling it. So, like, I'm confused by any salesperson who, if someone's trying to sell me a Mercedes-Benz and they're not driving one, and their wife or spouse or significant other doesn't drive one, then don't sell me on it. So to me, it's crazy that there's people who are in the real estate game that don't own real estate. So basically, I got my real estate license so I could become an inside player to start buying investment properties. So to take you back a little bit, I graduated from Stony Brook and I got no clue what I'm going to do in my life. And a buddy of mine gives me this book that changes my life forever. And the book's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Book's by this guy named Robert Kiyosaki. And all it talks about is real estate, entrepreneurship, and passive income. I read the book, and literally the book changed my life. It was the first book that I read cover to cover. And I ran out in 2005, top of the real estate market, and I bought a 2-family house. At that time, Jessica was just my girlfriend. So she was living upstairs, giving me $500 a month. And I rented out the entire downstairs for $2,000. And my mortgage payment was $2,100. So literally I'm living there at 20 years old and I'm making $400 a month. And I had the aha moment. I said, this is it. This is what I'm going to do in my life. I'm going to start buying rental houses. So literally 12 years ago, I got my real estate license for one reason. And from there, started the business as a part-time job. First year, I sold 3 houses, friends and family, then 10 houses, then 20 houses. And every dollar I made, we saved. And we bought our first rental property. And when I bought my first rental property, Kevin, I was scared like no other. Like nervous. I need to have an emergency fund. I needed to do 19 inspections. I needed to do rent analysis. And we bought 1, and then we woke up, we bought 2 and 3. Today I own 13 investment properties, a total of 17 doors. So in the landlord game, we count doors because some of them are multifamilies, or some of them we rent out the house, and we also rent out the garage separate because we have a house that has a 4-car garage. And it's, you know, this whole game started off very, very slow because the first house, we were just making a few $100s. But kind of to go back to what I started from is stay broke. And we, as the income started to increase in the real estate business, me and Jessica's life never changed. And at that time, I was still working a full-time job. So then we're selling 10 houses a year and we're saving all that money. We bought our first investment property that was making us a few $100. Then we bought our second one. Then we bought our third one. Then we bought our fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. And then you see where we are today. Literally the rental portfolio is our passive income stream. You know, my nickname is Mailbox Money. My favorite game when I was a kid was Monopoly. And today I'm wearing my red hotels, if you could see. How do you win the game of Monopoly?
Right.
3 greenhouses, and you trade them up to 4 greenhouses get you a red hotel. So that's really where it's all come from. And that's the passion behind the real estate business, because I know the more people I can help, the more people I serve, it will allow us to continue to build our rental portfolio. And that's the end game for us, is to have enough passive income coming in, which outweighs all of our expenses.
Is it something that realistically, do you have to be involved in the real estate market to do, or can you be an outside investor? Like, I have a day job and I want to start side hustling with investment in real estate. Or do you recommend that you be very knowledgeable within the real estate industry and do it that way? Because HGTV and DIY, I'm sure you've seen those channels, they make it look like so easy. And everybody thinks they can flip a house.
Don't. Absolutely. It is not so easy. Yes, you could absolutely do it, but you have to become the guru and you have to become the expert. So, and to me, the only way to do that is to get your license or to do this full time. But I do see people who don't do this full time and slowly scale it. But for me, it's very easy, because you have to understand is that I'm buying in the neighborhoods I'm selling in. Like, I know every house. No one knows these better than me. So I think it is, but I think the TV shows make it look all sexy and glamorous. And this has been a big pet peeve of me, and I've been preaching this, is that all you see is TV shows about flipping houses. There's no TV shows about buying and holding. The reason why there's no TV shows on buy and holding is because it's not sexy, it's not glamorous. They want to show a guy making a stack of money. They want to show a guy making $50,000, and they don't want to show a guy who's adding another $500 a month to his passive income. But to me, that's the most sexy thing ever. The $50,000, you could spend that. That doesn't change someone's life. But another $500 a month, when you have multiple properties and multiple streams of income, that's how you build generational wealth.
Do you need a lot of capital to get started, or would you recommend, save a lot of money, kind of like how you did? You were just making $400 a month. You were kind of letting the rent pay the mortgage. Would that be the best way to get involved?
Yes, so there's a lot of these gurus that are selling these no money down, borrow from Steven, pay Peter. I don't believe in that. We lived at our first house for, I'm going to say 3 or 4 years. And it cost our first house, we were making $400 a month. So we were living there for free, plus making $400 a month. And I worked and Jessica worked. And then I started the real estate. So we had 3 incomes. We built a little pile of money and we bought our first rental property with it. And then from there, we had the money coming in from the rental property, but we stayed broke. We stayed acting like we were broke and not buying big expensive things. And we kept saving and saving, and then bought the second one and bought the third one. Like, this is not an overnight thing. This is 12 years of grinding, 12 years of hustling, 12 years of sacrificing and giving up so many things, and not going on vacation. And when in my 20s, not partying in the Hamptons, and not going out Friday night, not going out Saturday night, and working and saving to be able to do what we're doing today.
Are you ever worried about how the property, because like me personally, if I own something, I want to know that it's taken care of and that, the place ain't getting destroyed. How do you get like past that, knowing that your properties that you own are being taken care of by the tenants? Because there was times, through what I did in previous work and I've been in a lot of houses with landlord tenant disputes and dealing with that. And I'm like, damn, no wonder why this landlord's pissed. This place looks like crap. I mean, there's garbage everywhere. There's holes in the walls. Is that ever a concern for you, being the property manager and owner? Like, this is yours.
With my first house, I was like that. I used to drive by my first house and get out, and I'm like, there's a bottle on the front lawn. I got to pick it up. But then you start to build I call it a tolerance. You build a stomach for it. And Kevin, every one of my houses is a little business. Okay. So the way I look at it is every one of the houses is its separate thing. And yes, a tenant could break the bathroom. A tenant could scratch the walls. A tenant, God forbid, could burn the house down, but it's still a business that we could just fix and rebuild. And we buy them at such a great value and have such a strong equity position in the properties. There's nothing the tenants could do that would put us in a position where we couldn't fix it and rebuild it and make it work. And to scale it out, there's properties of mine that I haven't been in a very long time. Of course, I have someone who now works for me who does our maintenance for them, and I send him from time to time. But no, you kind of just have to know that anything that is broken can be fixed, and the reserves that we have can take care of all those things.
When you tend to look for these homes that you want to rent out, do you look for houses that need kind of basically, if you were going to flip it to sell it, like you get it on the cheap, you upgrade it, and then you're going to rent it out and hold it for long term? Or do you kind of find something that's safe, that's already fixed up, that you could just say, okay, I'm going to take this property and we're going to rent this one? And also, how do you keep yourself, because like you walk into a lot of houses. You ever walk into a house and say, you know what, I want this house and I want to buy this house to rent it for a purpose like that?
Mm-hmm. Now, someone who's ADHD like me, you just gave me 3 questions. I'm going to go like so I'm going to go back. I'm going to try to hit the first one. Remember, when you're speaking to me, I am now a very sophisticated investor at the level that we're playing at. So yes, we do generally buy distressed, sometimes very, very distressed, or sometimes just moderately distressed. And then we rebuild. A lot of times we restructure the floor plan to make it a more conducive floor plan to what renters or tenants would want today. We know what amenities we could bring to the property to get maximum rent. So like a perfect house for me is, I don't care how many bedrooms it is, but 1,000 square feet. And 1,000 square feet, I know that I can turn it into an incredible 3-bedroom, 2-bath with an area for washer dryer. And then I know in my hoods, generally I could rent that for around $2,500 to $2,600. So then what I also look at is I want low taxes. What messes up New York real estate and why a lot of people don't invest in Long Island real estate and New York real estate is because the taxes are so high. So what we really have to do is we have to look for low taxes on a property. Regardless of the condition of it, we know we could fix it and change it. We just want the low taxes, because your taxes is what messes up the cash flow of the property. So, okay, I think I answered question number 1. Question number 2 is, I literally just bought a house from one of my clients, closed on it 2 weeks ago. My crew is there right now, rearranging the bedrooms and putting in new flooring. Wow. I walked in there and he said, Bry, I want to sell the house. I said, great. What do you want for it? He told me what he wanted for it. We looked at comps in the area and I said, listen, I could absolutely sell it. I said, but I also own a bunch of rentals. Would you be okay with me buying it? And we worked out a deal that was a win-win for everybody. And he hugged me and kissed me and said, this is the easiest transaction I ever did. So the nice thing is that selling 180 homes a year, I'm in 1 million homes. And if there's anything amazing, of course, I have the opportunity, as long as it's a win-win for both sides.
So when you walk into a house and you decide that you want to flip it into a rental, do you ever flip it into a sale, or you just stay strictly rentals because that's your game?
Strictly rentals, that's my game. I don't want to compete versus a lot of my clients who are flippers and speculators, and there's a lot of risk in that side. I've seen a lot of my clients make $100,000 on a flip, but I've seen a lot of my clients lose $100,000 on a flip. And for us, my side of the business is to sell the houses at the top dollar. And then we take all the money that we're blessed with from there and put it into the rental portfolio.
What are the current market conditions now for real estate? Is it a buyer's, seller's market? And where do people go? I'm going to edit that. Hold on. I had a brain fart. Is it a buyer seller's market right now? Is it, which way is it going? And also interest, I guess. What are the current interest rates?
Okay. So it is now the end of 2019, which has been an amazing year, will be my best year on record of transactions. It is a changing market. 2018 was probably the top of the market in this last real estate wave that we've seen. Literally, I could put anything on the market in 18 and there was multiple offers, fist fights outside the house of buyers fighting to get in there. And it would go for top dollar, even above what I was seeing appraisals go for. And that was kind of the scenario for all of 18. 19 has been a strong year, but a changing year. The luxury market is definitely soft right now. I'm just seeing that the market is starting to pull back. So basically, what does that mean? It means that it's gotten overappreciated. It's moved too quickly. So I almost feel the energy and the velocity is coming out of the market. In today's market, if you're going to sell a property, it has to be priced properly. And it can't be at this exorbitant number. It needs to be at a reasonable number compared to the other homes in the neighborhood. Back in 18, the house could be in terrible shape and buyers would look past everything. Today in 19, it really needs to be priced properly and marketed properly. So it's starting to change from what was a heavy duty seller's market in 18 to now more of, I guess, a more even market and almost changing to a buyer's market depending on what price point you're at.
In 2008, the housing bubble bursted, and that was that killed real estate. I mean, that's right after that, I bought my house in 2009. It was because of the bubble. For me, I was able to save money buying into it compared to the person who was selling it, lost and actually had to cut a check on the way out.
I know.
How this is your livelihood. Do you ever worry about that happening again? Do you see any trends heading in that direction, or do you think that the market is safe and this is just a slight pullback?
I just think it's a slight pullback. You're 100% right. I'm all in on this. If I'm not selling houses, I'm not feeding my family. But that's why we've built a rental portfolio to protect us. I'm very confident with the way that we've structured the rental portfolio and the cash flow that it spins off. Kevin, people are always going to need somewhere to live. So they may not walk into a store anymore to buy something because they're going to use Amazon, or it's going to get delivered to them by Uber Eats or some other new technology that's coming out, but they're always going to need somewhere to sleep. They're always going to need somewhere to rest their head. So we don't invest in commercial real estate. We invest in residential real estate that are close to good drivers. And what I mean by drivers is Stony Brook University, Ronkonkoma train station, Zebra Technology, the IRS. Those are all big institutions that have tons and tons of jobs that are bringing thousands and thousands of people that will rent our properties. And we don't have these luxury properties that we rent out. We rent out modest, beautiful, clean, economical homes that I would live in any day of the week. So that kind of answers the question on the rental side. On the real estate side, I got involved in this business when the market was blood on the streets.
Right.
To me, it's fine. I had an amazing business then. Listen, some of my success has because I'm in a great market, which makes my job a lot easier. But I had an amazing and one of the top businesses in Long Island as a new agent in the worst market where you couldn't give away real estate. So I think it's fine. I think it's a correction that was necessary because it's gotten out of control. I would have loved it to keep going, but it's fine. It's a correction that's necessary. It will allow us to pick up a few more investment properties. I think we're going to be fine. I think it's just it's leveling off. It's settling back down. And then we're just going to kind of drag ourselves for the next few years. but we're heading into an election year, which always brings uncertainty, regardless of the climate on who gets into the White House. Just uncertainty scares people.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm not, I'm big into politics, but I'm not making this political whatsoever.
Don't you have a political podcast?
I do have a political podcast. You can check it out. It's American Liberty. But when talking politics, one of the candidates, Andrew Yang, I don't know if you've seen or paid attention to him. He's running on the idea of technology replacing truck drivers and how it's going to destroy that industry in the next few years with self-automated trucks. I have seen through the internet and YouTube videos of this, they are setting up kiosks in houses to replace giants like yourself. Is that a concern for you and technology?
It doesn't even scare me for a second. I do think technology that you have to, you always have to look at your business and try to put yourself out of business because the taxi cabs are the biggest, you look at the taxi cabs, someone pitched them the idea of Uber and they were like, no, we're going to stay with what we're doing. Same thing with the hotels. They're like, oh my God, there's going to be Airbnb. No. They all should have, been the ones to adopt those businesses, because if you don't automate and you don't evolve, you die. Right. So I'm always trying to put myself out of business and see what's going to happen. But Kevin, this is the biggest asset of someone's life. This is the biggest purchase of someone's life. They need to bring in a guru. And so I don't ever think it's going to move me out of the transaction. I think it's just going to impress upon people how vital it is to have someone like me as their advisor in the real estate world.
And I think that's a good point. Just because the machine could, you punch a few buttons and tell you about the house doesn't mean they could advise you, because something that you do that people may not get when they're looking to sell a house, and if you explain this, is that you're there in an advisory role. Like, okay, I see what you want, but this is what I could give you. This is how you reach your goal realistically. And the machine can't do that. In fact, I think a machine would be, people would blow past their expectations and then find themselves down the road like, holy shit.
They could undersell their house. They could say something that is wrong or unethical. It's because they don't do this every single day. And your boy does this every single day, 180 times a year. So,
all right. So how do we keep track of the Karp machine? Okay. How do people follow you, keep up to date with you? Give them a website, your social media, and, let them know how to get in touch with you. Absolutely. So you could sell the house.
So you could always email me at Bryan@soldbybryan.com. Bryan is with a Y. You could find us on Instagram at Bryan Karp LI. You could find me on YouTube at Bryan Karp LI. Facebook, Bryan Karp. Bryan is with a Y, Karp. You could always call me on my cell phone or text me at 516-384-0571. I also do real estate coaching and training. We also do speaking. So we're really just here to help everybody, and anything I could do to help.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to explain. You've had an amazing career. Your career is, you've got a long way to go too. So this is the beginning of something big. You ever going to try to get your own TV show, or you looking at that HDTV career path?
I don't know. They're not, they show all the sexy part of everything. I'm the grinder. Like, I'm the guy who's shoveling the coal into the fire. I don't know if they're going to want to see the stuff that I do, to real estate. That's just TV real estate. It's not the real deal of what's happening. But if they're looking for a real hustler and they're looking for a grinder, they have to come and get into the trenches with us.
Oh, I like the way you put that. I just want to remind everybody that is watching this on the YouTube channel to hit that subscribe button below and subscribe to the channel. You can see Bryan Karp's episode, the full episode, and any other episodes that we have on here. Also, if you are listening on the audio platform or you want to, you can go to iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio. We are on every platform that there is, and you can subscribe to the show that way. This will be available on audio as well. So I want to thank Bryan for coming on. I know you're a busy man. You've got a hard break because you got to sell another house today, I'm sure. Thanks you for coming on, man. And I recommend that anybody, this guy sold my house in one day. One day, first guy that came in bought my house. So this guy's legit, and he's the real deal. I could personally vouch for that. And I want to thank you for coming on, brother.
Thank you, Kevin. Flattered that you had me as one of your initial guests. wishing you the best of luck with the podcast and everything else. And I want to come on as guest number 100 once you crush it and have some other big time people on.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Subscribe to the show, like it, and comment. Also, if you want the audio version because you're traveling, you're in a car, and you can't watch it, you don't have time to watch the episodes, you could go in the show notes. There is a link provided. Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, whatever your pleasure may be. Join me and listen via the audio versions on those other platforms, okay? But I really like YouTube. I like the way it's working out. And if you can, subscribe. The more subscribers, the better the content I can provide you, and it costs you nothing. So I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.